A nuclear threat on Ukraine, sanctions on Russia. As Ukraine battles its powerful neighbor, Taiwan is under pressure from China. But will a Taiwan invasion be next? Beijing has been slow to evacuate its nationals from Ukraine. But while China suggested they hide their identity inside the war-torn country, Taiwan put its national flag on its evacuation bus. Hong Kong's largest yet pandemic outbreak sees spiraling new virus numbers. A sharp jump of nearly 10,000 new infection cases gets reported on Monday. And for those watching our full episode, a number of Indo-Pacific military drills are in play. 2 of them come from Beijing, while one is hosted by India and joined by the US and 40 other countries. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Russia is putting its nuclear forces on high alert over Ukraine. But across the border, China is walking the tightrope. On one hand, the Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping talked to Russian President Vladimir Putin last Friday. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV said Russia was willing to hold high-level negotiations with Ukraine. It gave many the impression that China was trying to play mediator. The same day, the Chinese regime chose not to vote on a United Nations resolution demanding Moscow stop its attack, though China has spoken in favor of Ukrainian sovereignty. Now, the U.S. is calling on Beijing to publicly condemn Russia's military aggression against its neighbor.
But this is not a time to stand on the sidelines. This is a time to be vocal and condemn the actions of President Putin and Russia in invading a sovereign country.
But as the U.S. zeroes in on the conflict in Ukraine, China may have its eyes elsewhere. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi spoke on Monday at a forum. The event marked the 50th anniversary of the Shanghai Communique. That's the agreement that was signed during then U.S. President Richard Nixon's visit to China in the 70s. Wording from the document has garnered particular attention in recent years as Beijing steps up its aggression and threats to invade Taiwan. The communique reads, the U.S. side declared the United States acknowledges that all Chinese on either side of the Taiwan Strait maintain there is but one China and that Taiwan is a part of China. The United States government does not challenge that position. Years after its signing, the U.S. established diplomatic relations with Communist China and cut formal ties with Taiwan. During his Monday speech, Foreign Minister Wang blamed the U.S. for tensions between Beijing and Washington over Taiwan. He demanded the U.S. stop invalidating the One China principle, stop condoning and supporting pro-Taiwan independence activities, and stop plotting to use Taiwan to combat China. The One China principle refers to Beijing's belief that there is only one China and that Taiwan is part of mainland Chinese territory. That's despite the island's separate constitution and leadership. With Beijing's gaze planted on Taiwan, the island is watching Russia's war on Ukraine closely.
Taiwan will also join the international community in levying economic sanctions against Russia.
Many are now drawing parallels between Ukraine and Taiwan. Both face the threat of being taken over by powerful neighbors. Ukraine is already fighting back against Russia, while Taiwan is under military pressure from Beijing. But Taiwan officials may have a different view of that comparison.
Taiwan and Ukraine are very different. We're very important in terms of the world's supply chain. Also, the geopolitical tensions and the geographic locations are different as well.
Taiwan is critical to the global supply chain, especially when it comes to semiconductors or microchips. These tiny devices are the brains of all electronics, from fighter jets to iPhones. Without chips, modern life would not be possible. Taiwan dominates the chip manufacturing market. The island makes over 90% of the world's cutting-edge microchips, and the U.S. relies on Taiwan for its most advanced chips. What's more, Washington has a deeper interest in Taiwan compared to Ukraine. The U.S. maintains a security pact with Taiwan, and under it, America is committed to providing Taiwan with arms to protect itself from a Chinese invasion. But the U.S. doesn't have that kind of agreement with Ukraine. America's interest in Taiwan also has to do with its location. The island sits on a line of defense that's key to America's security, a chain of islands stretching from Japan to Malaysia. And this line of defense prevents Beijing from launching submarine-based nuclear missile attacks against the U.S. Without access to the deep waters beyond the island chain, the U.S. military would be able to quickly detect and neutralize Chinese attack subs. What's more, the U.S. has a much closer trade partnership with Taiwan. In 2020, Taiwan stands as America's 9th largest trading partner, with over $100 billion in two-way trade. Compare that to Ukraine, America's 67th largest trading partner, with a trade volume of just over $3 billion. Washington also had a hand in helping Taiwan transform into a democracy. In the 1950s, U.S. aid made up about 10% of Taiwan's GDP. The U.S. opened up its market to Taiwanese exports, helping the island to speed up its economy. Now, Taiwan's GDP per capita totals over half of the United States, over $30,000. That's compared to Ukraine at a little over $3,000. Lastly, the geography. Taiwan and mainland China are separated by a strait, stretching over 100 miles wide. But there's no such barrier between Ukraine and Russia, as their shared border is entirely on land. China's reaction to the Ukraine crisis could put its citizens there in danger. Beijing put Ukraine evacuation plans on hold, telling some 6,000 Chinese citizens in Ukraine to wait until it is safe to leave. That message comes in stark contrast to Taiwan's quick actions, and the contrast is raising eyebrows.
Mainland Chinese citizens have been waiting for evacuation from the war-torn country of Ukraine. But 22 Taiwanese nationals got just that this weekend, having safely arrived in Poland. But how did the island pull it off? A charter bus, complete with the national flag of Taiwan on its window. According to media reports, Taiwan's government arranged for the bus just hours after Russia launched its invasion on Thursday. The bus arrived in Poland on Saturday after navigating traffic jams as thousands flee Ukraine. In contrast to Taiwan's quick response, China's state-backed Xinhua news agency announced the country's first withdrawals from Ukraine Monday, but didn't give further details. Prior to that notice, Beijing's apparent inaction sent thousands of Chinese citizens inside Ukraine into a wave of panic last Thursday. Instead of a quick evacuation strategy, the Chinese embassy offered a piece of advice, telling its citizens in Ukraine to paste the Chinese flag on their cars, presumably for protection from armed attacks. But just a day later, the embassy reversed that message, urging its nationals in Ukraine to maintain friendly relations with the Ukrainian people, avoid disputes, and remind them not to display any identifying signs. This after potential backlash over China's reaction to the Russian invasion. Beijing, under its close ties with Moscow, has so far refused to condemn Russia or describe its actions as an invasion. China's state media has also adopted a seemingly pro-Russian viewpoint in its domestic coverage. What's more, Chinese social media has been flooded with pro-Russian, anti-Ukrainian sentiment. The saga was later picked up by Ukrainian media, further fueling suspicions against the Chinese community in the country. Chinese officials announced a hold on evacuation plans Saturday, and unlike nationals from many other countries, they did not receive instructions to leave the country before the invasion began. Before Russia declared war, Beijing pushed back on warnings from the U.S. that a Russian attack was imminent. In a twist, Chinese media outlets recently reported on what they described as a heroic attempt from Beijing to help evacuate Taiwanese nationals from Ukraine. But Taiwan officials didn't take kindly to the notion, responding that they already made arrangements for their citizens and have no need for China's overstepping.
Now an update on the pandemic. Local virus outbreaks seem to be spiraling in Hong Kong. Local infections there hit a new daily record on Monday.
Hong Kong citizens, members of the media, there are 34,466 newly confirmed cases for 28 February.
Hong Kong health officials also reported difficulties handling corpses after 87 deaths were reported on Monday. Amid the deteriorating situation, Chief Executive Carrie Lam visited a new isolation facility. A construction company from mainland China built the facility, where rows made up of hundreds of cabins are waiting to receive new patients. It's the 8th such facility around Hong Kong. As the financial hub battles its worst yet wave of the pandemic, Beijing announced it would continue to support Hong Kong with its zero cases approach to virus control. Measures include mass testing, contact tracing, and strict lockdown protocol, which take effect after just a few cases are detected. Alongside that policy, Hong Kong officials also announced that each of the city's nearly 7.5 million citizens must take 3 compulsory virus tests in March. At the same time, rumors of an impending lockdown are circulating among Hong Kongers. A legislative official from the city denied the possibility when asked about it. But one health official told local media that a lockdown has not been ruled out. Still, the speculation has prompted panic buying in Hong Kong, prompting shoppers to empty supermarket shelves on Monday. And that's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We are now sharing a shortened version of our program on YouTube. That's after being demonetized for a year. Full episodes can be watched on our website, ntd.com/ChinaInFocus. You can also find out where to watch us live on cable in your city at ntd.com/TV or on NTD's partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up, please click the link down below. Thanks for watching. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.